Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'd like to thank Bradley B for that borderline racist intro. Thank you, Bradley. Bradley made that for me. So, I said borderline YouTube. Borderline. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to get into what's going on all across the world right now. Tensions, stuff heating up, war, rumors of war, other. But first, I found this stunning revelation today, and it checks out. It definitely checks out. Did you know that Democrat spelled backwards is asshole? Hey, if they can make shit up, so can we. And I agree. So Democrat spelled backwards is asshole. Makes sense? Certainly makes sense. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to say hello and get right into it. Digger, hello, hello. Bad Dazzle, what's up, mate? Hey, Bobby. Bobby. Does anybody know how beautiful Bobby is? Because the answer is very. Saw him on stream last night. Damn. Aloha Snack Bar. What's up, Oz? Hey, Shanny. Bees. All right. Oh, I know it is. So, let's get right into it. This is interesting, curious, and concerning all in one. North Korea seemed to enter the fight. I don't know which one, but one of them. One of them. North Korea tested a tactical guided weapon, the Hwasong-18 missile, which seems to be a derivative of the Chinese manufactured missile. From what I've seen, the missile that was tested is capable of carrying a nuclear warhead and has a range of 6,648 kilometers. Kim Jong-un has ordered the military to be on combat-ready alert amid tensions with the United States in the region. So we'll watch this infographic video. Still better than India's space program video.
시뻘건 불줄기를 내뿜으며 대지를 박차고 우주 만리로 솟구쳐 올랐습니다. 신형 대륙간 탄도 미사일 시험 발사는 주변 국가들의 안전에 그 어떤 부정적 영향도 주지 않았습니다. 발사된 미사일은 최대 종점 고도 6,648.4km까지 상승하며 거리 1,001.2km를 4,491초간 비행하여 조선동해 공해상 목표 수역에 정확히 탄착됐습니다. 시험 발사를 통하여 확정된 모든 신기록들은 신형 전략무기 체계의 능력과 믿음성, 군사적 효용성이 증실화되며 우리 공화국 핵 전략 무력의 신뢰성에 대한 의심할 바 없는 검증으로 됩니다. 국가 핵무력 건설 전망 계획에 따라 조선민주주의인민공화국 전략 무력이 장비하고 운영하게 되는 이 신형 대륙간 탄도 미사일 화성포 18형 무기 체계는 가기한 반공화국 핵전쟁 위협과 도발적인 침략 행위들을 철저히 억제하고 압도적으로 대응하며 우리 국가의 안전을 믿음직하게 수호하는 가장 강력한.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's propaganda if I've ever heard it. They're getting better at fighting wars and the propaganda battle. So obviously it's concerning. Very, very concerning that that kind of thing's going on. Any other nuclear power that hates us is a bad nuclear power to have hanging around. Obviously, it's concerning when you have a terror state, an unhinged state, a state with little Rocket Man, it becomes quite concerning for everybody involved. If that's true, then yeah, probably not fantastic. Because that could they're Koreans and malnourished, so that's it. What, the picture I made of you? They are. But they can hide. NOCO has been recalling their ambassadors, closing all their embassies. I had no idea they had embassies. I didn't know they had embassies either, to be honest. True. That's a true statement. Explains why their armor looks oversized. It probably is oversized. I don't think they make baby bulletproof vests. So anyways, they weren't done there with their own nuclear missile. South Korean intelligence, North Korea delivered 1 million missiles to Russia. You got that right. 1 million missiles to Russia. Now, a reasonable person might ask, what the hell are you delivering 1 million missiles to Russia for? That's a lot of fucking missiles. But that probably means we're about to get into a big conflict. So, South Korea's spy agency says North Korea shipped more than 1 million artillery shells to Russia. So, sure they can hide. So Seoul, South Korea. South Korea's top spy agency believes North Korea sent more than 1 million shells to Russia since August to help fuel Russian President Vladimir Putin's war on Ukraine, according to the lawmaker who attended the closed-door briefing on Wednesday with intelligence officials. How did North Korea find 1 million working artillery shells? So let's not get too hasty. They might not be working. I don't know what a charcuterie board is. No, I really don't. North Korea and Russia have been actively boosting their viability of the partnership in the face of separate, deepening confrontations with the United States. I actually didn't know that we were in confrontation with North Korea. Huh. Did anybody know that we were in an active confrontation with North Korea? When somebody was president, I don't think that was happening. I didn't think that was happening. I think it's when this guy took over. This guy.
Nazi fags.
When that guy took over, that might have been when it started. I didn't think so. I didn't think that when good old President Trump was in the Oval Office that we were going to have a problem. But, you know, shit happens. Between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Putin in September has triggered concerns about an arms arrangement in which North Korea supplies Russia with badly needed munitions in exchange for advanced Russian tech that would strengthen Kim's nuclear arm military. Trying to say artillery. Both Pyongyang and Moscow have denied U.S. and South Korean claims that the North has been transferring arms supplies to Russia. According to... No, it can't be. That can't be his name. According to lawmaker Yu Sang-bum, the South Korean National Intelligence Service believes that the North shipped more than 1 million artillery shells to Russia through ships and other transport means since early August to help boost Russia's warfighting capabilities in Ukraine. Those shells would roughly amount to 2 months' worth of supplies for the Russians, you said. Nah, let them go. Let them fly like the Russians' new missiles. You Boom? What if I just call him Boom Boom? Join the military as a senior and earn up to a 50K bonus. Because Gen Z won't fight because they're big pussies. All right. So, obviously, realistically, that's so concerning. I didn't really think that Russia was short on ammunition or anything to begin with, but who the hell knows? Yeah, can't be a good thing. Cannot be a good thing. This is deeply concerning to me personally because I wasn't notified of this and I do not condone this, Mr. Putin, so you better stop that shit. But here's our next one up on the books here. Russia pursues Avdiivka with meat assaults in a replay of Bakhmut. Nobody said that they can assault me. I did not consent. No meat assaults. None. Back off, Putin. Russia throws vast numbers of poorly supported troops into a new meat grinder, Ukrainian officials say. Go enlist in Biden's army. Do it right now. No, thank you, Bobby. No, thank you. No, thank you. Russia has doubled down on a campaign to capture the eastern Ukrainian town of Avdiivka. I don't even know how to. I'm bad at pronunciations. You guys know this. During the 88th week of its war, in what appears to be a repeat of its year-long campaign to capture nearby Bakhmut, which fell in May. As in Bakhmut, the Russian tactics have consisted of waves of infantry attacks that Ukrainian commanders said would soon become denser. And as in Bakhmut, Russian forces were suffering large losses of men and equipment. The Russian military is mounting efforts to retake the initiative in other places on the Eastern Front as well. The commander of Ukraine's ground forces, Alexander Sersikiev, fuck it, who cares? Said Russia has significantly strengthened its forces in Bakhmut and switched from defense to offense. Well, they probably got a punt, or maybe they got a turnover. Who knows? Ukrainian forces have led the Russians in retreat there in recent months as they've tried to encircle the captured town. They retook commanding heights in north of Bakhmut in July, from which they've been selling Russian positions. During the past week, they advanced past the railway line that runs 10 kilometers southwest of Bakhmut, meaning Russian forces can't use it to supply their front lines. So this is a graphic, and we're not going to keep reading because that's basically here's kind of a graphic under Russian control before February 23rd, 2022, under Russian control now. Russian forces have operated in or launched attacks, claimed Ukraine counteroffensive. If you thought it was successful, it's this little fucking piece right here, just west of Bakhmut. That's what your billions upon billions got, is that little teeny blip right there, and this little teeny blip right there. Russia claims control of Ukrainian territory. It's right there. Significant fighting within the last 24 hours and Russian ground lines of communication. I don't actually see this on the map. Meh. Whatever. True. Are they, though? Patrick Lancaster has been with the Donbass fighters on the front line the last few months. He hasn't mentioned anything. I think that the Ukrainians are getting their ass kicked, and they're looking for any kind of propaganda that they can use to try and turn public opinion in their favor. Here's the other map. So, under Russian control before February 23rd, 2022, under Russian control now, Russian forces have operated or launched attacks. Ukrainian reported counteroffensive, Ukrainian partisan warfare, Ukrainian territory, it says Russia controls. So we have a little bit more just on the border. This is a Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, Dnipro, West and East Bank, Kherson. This is more accurate about what we've been hearing about mostly in the news. Like Digger says, always winning. So this is obviously not great from the Ukrainians. We got a little bit outside of Kherson and a little bit on the border here. My opinion is I think that they're just toying with them. The Russians are still just toying with them. It's obvious that the Russians are winning this war handedly. And from what we've been hearing, the United States and global partners are pretty much done with Vladimir Zelensky. He's going to be CIA'd very, very soon. Very soon. You can mark that one down too. He's lost his usefulness, and he's getting kind of pushy with things. And they found a new toy to play with. So I don't think there's any interest in continuing to. I mean, they'll keep giving Ukraine money just because they're cocks, but I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any indication that Ukraine's winning this war anytime soon or have the power to do so. Just my opinion. And that's what we give here is opinions, jokes, and bullshit. Nothing is advice in any way, YouTube. I can't be misinformation if I'm not giving any information. So suck it. So then we have the major flip side of this. Mind you, this is all through Al Jazeera. We've stayed on Al Jazeera for the most part for this information, just so we can have a consistent source of updating us with the same amount of information. Russia attacks more than 100 settlements in 24 hours, Ukraine says. Ukrainian authorities have now said cities and towns in the east have come under heavy bombardment over the last 24 hours. To be fair, I love Risk. Risk is such a good game. YouTube is asshole. Yes, please hit that like button. Ukraine's interior minister said that more than 100 settlements have come under fire in 24 hours, marking the heaviest day of Russian shelling this year. Must be those million artillery shells that my man has sent over. Obviously, they're making impact on the battlefield. Obviously, they're doing what they should be. And obviously,
Little Rocket Man
has helped the Russians greatly. So, in a statement on social media, Ukrainian Interior Minister Igor Klimenko said that Russia had unleashed a barrage of millions of shells. Millions of shells. No shit. Did they just get some from North Korea? On cities across the eastern regions of the country. Over the last 24 hours, the enemy shelled 118 settlements in 10 regions, Klimenko said on Wednesday. This is the highest number of cities and villages that have come under attack since the start of the year, he said. I don't know why this young lady is doing Yeah, yes. They could have, but they're Korean, so they have all kinds of skilled labor, unskilled labor, some kind of labor that they can use. Russia's wave of strikes turned some towns and villages to rubble, not rumble. Local authorities said that overnight shelling in the city of Kharkiv near the border with Russia killed one person, with another also killed in southeast Kherson. 1 million artillery shells, and they killed 2 people. Those are definitely North Korean artillery shells. If 1 million killed 2, I bet they don't even work. Exactly, Bobby. That's what I'm saying. 1 million shells, and they killed 1 in Kherson and 1 in Kharkiv. A Russian drone strike in southern city of Nikopol also killed a 59-year-old woman and injured 4 people. So 1 Russian drone strike is more effective than 1 million no-co bombs. Now you know. Kiev reported that Russian strike on an oil refinery in Kremenchuk has caused a fire that took hours to extinguish, but resulted in no casualties. Ukraine and its partners in the West, such as the United States, worried that Russia could squeeze Ukraine by targeting energy infrastructure as winter approaches. Oh no, are they going to hit the windmills? In an interview published by the British outlet The Economist on Wednesday, Ukrainian top general Valery Zaluzhnyi said the conflict is moving towards a state of attrition and that Ukraine will need new technology and larger army reserves to meet its goals. Well, you're fucked because you killed most of your soldiers and your technology's gone because you haven't developed shit, and the United States is done giving you money. Congratulations. That means you lost the war. Concede, give Russia the East, and go back and try and do better next time. While Western supporters of Ukraine have hoped that a much anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive would result in large territorial gains, Zaluzhnyi said in an interview that there would be no deep and beautiful breakthrough. So they're admitting the counteroffensive didn't work. So all that money for nothing. Mind you, same newspaper, same Al Jazeera. Sirens in Sevastopol as Ukraine ramps up attacks on Crimea. He just needs to run now. Yeah, he's going to. I take it you're talking about Zelensky. He's going to get CIA'd if he doesn't get the hell out of there quick. Wait, they don't do participation trophies? Kitty, they do. It's our what, 300 billion we sent over to Jackass. That's their participation trophy. But no, seriously, give Russia the East, which is what they want. They want the ports, and they want to be able to get to the Black Sea. Give them what they want, and let's end this. Let's stop killing innocent people. Do you know what happened to Kennedy in Texas? John F. Kennedy in Texas. Magic bullet, clock tower from the library book depository. That's CIA'd. That is the definition of CIA'd. All right, so Russian officials have declared an air raid alert in the Crimean port city of Sevastopol in anticipation of further attacks from Ukraine. His face done came off. Yep. Sirens went off in the city early on Wednesday. Traffic on the Crimean bridge linking the peninsula to Russia, as well as sea transport, were suspended. So it was explicitly said that the Ukrainians could not use our technology and weapons to attack Russian territory. And obviously that's happening all over. There's a ton of it. There is a ton of it. Damn it, Tease. Did you have to? Did you have to send me that picture, DZ? That was gross, Tease. Very, very gross. All right. So that's just more attacks in Crimea. It was supposed to not happen that way. They weren't supposed to use offensive weaponry in Russia. That was supposed to be explicitly forbidden, but he doesn't really care, obviously. So that's interesting. And I think for the most part, well, no, I lied. Hang on. Wanted to. So there was a back and forth whether or not Vladimir Putin was deceased recently, and there were multiple outlets reporting that it was indeed true. From the beginning, the Russian side of things said no, that was inaccurate, and he was very much alive. It appears that the Russian side was correct, and the remainder was just propaganda. Of course, we'll never know for sure, but it certainly appears that that Vladimir Putin is still alive and semi-well. He's definitely aging. He's definitely not an ideal situation. He's certainly, I would put money on the fact that he is still very much alive. They were saying he died of cancer. There was a bunch of other claims and a bunch of other things that took place at the same time. I think that we know now that it's all complete total bullshit. So, also, I haven't seen anything credible whatsoever on it since then. Nothing at all. Nothing even remotely credible. If anybody has, you're welcome to toss it over to me. Because, yeah, but I haven't seen anything convincing or compelling to see that he was indeed deceased at this point. It's kind of asinine to think that he might have. Also in the war, I think that this is an interesting clip. Give me one moment to fire it up. Oh, this is going to be bad. I know, damn Putin. So let's take into account before we get into this short video. If Vladimir Putin happens to pass away during an active, very active global engagement, I think that that's bad news. One, Putin has shown an incredible amount of restraint with all the bullshit that the United States is trying to pull, as well as the rest of the world. I think Putin has shown a resilient amount of restraint, and when you have a country that you destabilize by killing their leader, I think that only ends very badly for the rest of everyone else, because that means that they don't have a true succession program. Not that we do anymore anyways, but they don't have a true succession. There's not going to be a vote. There's no, I mean, I'm sure that they have some continuity of government, but there's no set, this gentleman's going to be in power and he's ready to go, and this, so on and so forth. It's going to be a mess, and it's going to leave a power vacuum with the country on this planet that has by far the most nuclear weapons of any country on the face of the earth. I think Putin is pretty tactically brilliant. So Putin's only 71, for fuck's sake. He's really fit. I doubt he'll die for years unless by assassination. Well, CIA'd again. Maybe the devil isn't ready for him yet. Yeah, I don't think he is. I don't think he is. So, gas mask and iodine tablets, find a hole with a few feet of dirt, preferably concrete. Yep, underground, throw on a gas mask, pop some iodine tabs. ISAT. They're relatively cheap. Anytime there's tensions like this, they get a little bit harder to find, but they block the radiation from getting past your thyroid, essentially. I know it's much more in depth than that, but that's pretty much the dummy 101 version of it. It stops radiation from affecting. You're basically giving up your thyroid to stop you from dying of radiation. So, Putin is extremely old. Should he be choosing a successor soon? Like Digger said, he's not that old. He's 71. I mean, how old's Biden? 168 now? So, in the grand scheme of things, he's not really even that old. I think that only bad things happen if Vladimir Putin passes away during this conflict. Because then you have probably a zealot, probably somebody who's going to want to make a name for themselves and not be in the same vein as Putin. It's very unrealistic that in that power structure you're gonna have somebody that's just like, nope, fuck it, we're gonna go for peace and come to the negotiating table with the United States and become the US's bitch. So I think that's a pipe dream. I think we're gonna get somebody that's gonna be much worse. 71 is not extremely old. You're talking about one of the best taken care of people in the entire planet. World leaders are generally very well taken care of. Putin still plays hockey every year. Yeah, he does, and he rides bears bareback. Giggity. Trump needs to select a running mate. The MAGA movement splinters into 1,000 pieces overnight. Yeah, he does. I think I agree with Shenny on this one. I think that if there was anybody that could take up that mantle at this point, I think he'd be happy to do that, and he would have been happy to not run and take any more of the bullshit. I just don't think that person's there yet. I don't think that person's revealed themselves as reasonable to take up that mantle yet. So I think that's a concern there. Not extremely old is my neighbor. Dude's 101. That's impressive, Bobby. You tell such funny stories, Bobby. They're always so great. Hey, man, bud. Trump's need to run with Lake as his VP, in my opinion. I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. It makes me wonder if there's something there. I don't have anything to prove that. It just makes me wonder if there's something there, because I thought that would have been the natural choice. So makes me wonder if there's some caution there. It's still early enough, so I can get why he hasn't. I just thought it was kind of a no-brainer, and it's there's definitely something there, in my opinion. So I thought this was interesting. We'll watch this real quick. This is President Trump speaking on somebody attacking, or Russia attacking, a NATO member.
I'm not going to protect you any longer. And I remember the head of a country stood up and said, does that mean that if Russia attacks my country, you will not be there? That's right. That's what it means. I will not protect you. And the money came.
And I have to agree with President Trump on this one. I'm sick of sending American blood and treasure to countries that don't give a shit about America or its values and hate our existence. I think he's 100% right on this one. I don't know why we continue to do it. These people that just hate our guts, and they're like, yep, let's send you some more money. Let's send you some more American soldiers. It seems pretty asinine, and it seems like, yeah, if you're not going to appreciate us, you're not going to reciprocate, and you're not going to help us out when we need it, then fuck off. Because for you too, Canada, if you're going to keep Trudeau, then we have little sympathy for you. Wink, digger. You know I'm winking. Yeah, no, I think we should stop being the world police, and we should stop protecting everybody else, especially when they just throw us under the bus and treat us like shit, even though we keep sending them more and more and more money, and we're still the bad guy. So we're never going to buy friends. We're never going to buy allies. And if shit went down tomorrow, we'd be on our own if other countries could get out of it. So. What? I don't know what you're talking about. Is today different? Or is there something spectacular about today? I'm just wondering. Yeah. Probably. I don't know how your elections work, truly. But, yeah, it seems like it could be possible. All right, so now after that, we're going to go into the Middle East and the Israeli conflict. It's about all I have with the Russia. It seems to be much of the same. It seems to be just more and more of just getting pounded, and you know. So, and I don't think there's any better way to kick this off. Any better way to kick this off. Canadians elect someone once every 500 years. Isn't it a beaver? Doesn't the beaver choose? No. Wait. Of heels up? I'll show this one, because this isn't the most egregious thing you've ever showed me. It's close, but not the most egregious. That's an accurate picture from Joe Biden's office. Anyway, on how he votes, NDP, Greens, Blue, Quebecois. It's the action in the bag. Huh. Yeah, I know he doesn't. I truly don't know how it works. I talked to you about it at one point, but maybe you can educate me sometime. But I don't know how it works. It seems odd, but so to show you that the White House is serious right now, and that this statement was true. Thanks, Dees, buddy. Statement from the White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on President Biden's establishment of the first ever national strategy to counter Islamophobia. Wait. President Biden ran for office to resolve. Jesus Christ! Now I sound like him. When you talk when you read one of his statements, you have to sound like him. Go lick the world. President Biden ran for office to restore the soul of our nation. He is unequivocal. There's no place for hate in America against anyone, period, unless you hate those MAGA terrorist, extremist, asshole, right-wing, sympathizing fucking insurrectionists. That is the only piece of shit you can hate. But anybody else, off limits. Today, he and Vice President Harris are announcing that their administration would develop a first ever U.S. national strategy to counter Islamophobia in the United States. We look forward to continuing our work with community leaders, advocates, members of Congress, and I wonder which one, probably Tlaib, and more to develop the strategy, Elon Omar, which will be a joint effort led by the Domestic Policy Council and the National Security Council, and counter the scourge of Islamophobia and hate in all its forms. For too long, Muslims in America and those perceived to be Muslims, such as Arabs, Sikhs, have endured disproportionate number of hate-fueled attacks and other discriminatory incidents. We all mourn the recent barbaric killing of Wadea Al-Fayoume, a 6-year-old Palestinian American Muslim boy, and the brutal attack on his mother in their home outside of Chicago. No, Digger. No, D's. Damn it. I yelled at the wrong one. What's up, Neo? Outside Chicago. I didn't hear about that one. Honestly. Today's announcement is the latest step as part of President Biden's directive to establish last year to establish an interagency group to increase and better coordinate U.S. government efforts and to counter Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and related forms of bias and discrimination within the United States. Moving forward, the President, Vice President, and our entire administration will continue to working. Shit, I do sound like fun. To ensure every American has the freedom to live their lives in safety and without fear of how they pray, what they believe, and who they are. Again, unless you support President Trump, then you're a right-wing Nazi terrorist. So, that is an official press release. Official press release from the United States government. It's the one with the dogs. Is it the one in the group? Damn you, D's. All right. So that is the official statement from the White House. That's cute. Makes you wonder what side he's on. Developing Middle East Monitor reported that Joe Biden approved the release of $75 million aid to Palestine just hours before the attack on Israel. In a quiet move by bypassing Republican obstructionism, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken has approved the release of $75 million in crucial food assistance for the Palestinians just hours before the funds were set to be redistributed elsewhere. UNRWA had been a frequent target for Republicans after he assumed office. President Joe Biden reversed ex-President Donald Trump's efforts to squeeze off funding to the United Nations agency and Palestinians generally. So, from the memo or the Middle East Monitor, under the radar, U.S. approves $75 million in aid to Palestine. I really don't know which one he's talking about, buddy. Wait, who the hell is Marco Macaroni? Who the hell? It's a Bobby, but the other way. I really don't know which one he's talking about. Wait, so they first used anti-Islamic sentiment to reinforce powers. Now they're using Islamophobia to reinforce powers. How blatant can they get away with their hypocrisy? They can get much worse and will. That seems to be their game, is to just keep going back and forth and just using it to increase power time in and time out. It's pretty disgusting the way that everything's going down, but you sent it again. Damn it. Oh. He's just trying really hard to derail the entire show today, but I need a picture in between. That's for you, Digger. That's for you, dear. God, I hope so. That'd be impressive if that was the case, Digger. So that's kind of what we have going on right now. Best picture of Trudeau ever. Anyone else getting hungry? No, I don't need any more derailment, damn it. I'm derailed enough today. Now we're gonna get into some of the interesting stuff. B1B in Incirlik rehearsing mass bombardment of targets. Joint Strike Force SAR 5 and Arleigh Burke in Eritrea. Mass attacks by Houthis. The Houthis open a front on Israel from Eritrea. And so this goes with shit, I forgot which country it was. Yemen. Yemen supposedly is in turmoil and didn't officially declare war, but officially declared war on Israel. So the Middle East is now getting involved. And this big, beautiful bastard, the B-1 Lancer, is practicing bombing runs in the Middle East. And they're going to fuck up some Middle East. Bad. That's a beautiful plane. They are huge. They're massive. Israeli warships were deployed to the Red Sea, creating yet another layer of defense after official declaration of war by the Houthis. A new barrage followed with ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones towards the city of Eilat. Practicing. Yeah. The Houthi forces are part of the Axis of Resistance, opened the Red Front to Israel. Why didn't that play? Did it get cut? All right, I'm going to preview, just make sure it didn't change. Okay. Sorry, I'm just previewing it because it doesn't appear to be the same video, but very similar. So we'll just we'll watch that in just a moment. So we're starting to see a bunch of stuff heading towards the Red Sea. Here we see some Israeli corvettes and different things. So that's always fun. We'll look at that on X in a minute. US B-1B bombers in hot pit exercise in Cyrillic. Mass bombing practice. So they're using a Turkish airbase to practice hot bombing. Yeah, it's going to be okay. Damn it. I guess it's easier to just bring up the tweets. So we'll go through footage in a minute. From Eurocom or European Command, B-1B Lancers currently deployed for Bomber Task Force performed the first ever hot pit refueling at Incirlik Air Force Base, Turkey, on October 31st. Look at that big bastard. Oh, they're beautiful. So this is all in response to the Middle East heating up. So footage shows interceptions. So there's obviously a lot heating up. So we'll go through. I obviously don't speak whatever language that is, but there's some more Israeli boats entering the region. So that's always fun and exciting. Okay. So here's the video I was talking about. So these are the Houthis from Yemen that have engaged Israel and shot missiles at it. Maybe. Ships, boats, or subs. They're all boats. They float on the water. They're boats. Boat. My boat. I have no idea why this video doesn't want to play. This is driving me nuts. All right, we'll go back to the B1s. Pretty. All right, let's see how this. See if this is going to stop being thrown off a building in Iran. I didn't say it. You just thought I said
الله
it.
الرحمن الرحيم ولله عاقبة الأمور مساندة من القوات الصاروخية اليمنية لإخواننا الشعب الفلسطيني وما رميت إذ رميت ولكن الله رمى يا الله سدد يا رب الله أكبر الموت لأمريكا الموت لإسرائيل اللعنة على اليهود النصر للإسلام لبيك يا غزة لبيك يا أقصى لبيك يا أقصى لبيك يا غزة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Still better than anything Boeing can put up. all of them. All right, that's enough. Like I said, still better than anything Boeing's done in the last 25 years. I think that's probably the most likely scenario. I thought at first it was shit camera, but yeah, you're probably right. Could be. No, they dug up all the sewer pipes and water pipes that Israel put in. I'm all for forcefully inserting things in Hayden, but I happen to take a liking to Hayden, and this isn't the. I wouldn't put him on one of these rockets because he wouldn't come home, and I need Hayden to come home. I'd be really sad. Really sad. So if we want to send him to Mars, we can work on that, but not on one of these. Not on these. All right. So, oh shit, I was supposed to preview this video, but it didn't work correctly. Here's the other side. The other side seems to be playing just, I believe that these, I don't remember because I have like 10 of these up, but I think this is the Israelis bombing armored vehicles. Via discretion. It's just a Hollywood movie set, though. God damn. That was just a Hollywood movie set. There was nothing more. So anyways, next up. Oh shit, I didn't even share the tab. That was probably good, but shut up, Bobby. But you got my commentary and then you can add it to the video later. We could have Hayden Sprinkles. Fuck up, Bobby. All right. So yeah. So I wanted to kind of go through some of the other countries that are getting involved in this recent conflict. We'll start with this. We always hear about this. I'm kind of sick of hearing about the war crimes. It's a war, for fuck's sake. Like, come on. Israel-Hamas war updates. Israel's Jabalia attacks may be war crimes. Now I'm going to read it. Oh, it's now closed. So I can't read it now anyways. It was just up, but they changed their mind. I don't believe there can be war crimes in a war. I mean, certain things are egregious, but come on. But this is what they were talking about. And this one's, if I click anywhere, it's going to update and get rid of it. So Israeli-Hamas war live, 195 killed, 120 missing in Jabalia strikes. So apparently they just started leveling shit with airstrikes, which is kind of what you do. And just annihilated most of it. Well, I mean, look at last time GOOZ claimed war crimes. Look what he did. Yeah. So here's some of the other regional partners or players. Ahead of another major Arab-Israeli war, Egyptian tanks and TT at Rafah, Cairo to Israel. Forget Sinai. We will sacrifice millions of lives if necessary. Israel's suffocating pressure on Egypt for Sinai. He even proposed debt cancellation. That makes you know they're for real. The Egyptian military has deployed M60A3 Patton tanks, so American tanks, and YPR 765 armored personnel carriers near the Rafah border, crossing between Egypt's Sinai Peninsula and the Gaza Strip to pressure it, as Israeli pressure escalates following the WikiLeaks document revelations. Egypt's prime minister responded to Israel by saying his country is ready to sacrifice millions of lives to defend its territory. You did, kitty. Israel's suffocating pressure on Egypt for the Sinai shows that Netanyahu and his military staff have decided to end the Gaza affair. Israel is now flirting very strongly with the new major Arab-Israeli war. Egypt fears an influx of tens of thousands of refugees from fighting between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, and so far has kept its border largely closed, allowing only humanitarian aid into Gaza, with help from the United States. Egypt is limited by a 1979 peace treaty with Israel on the number of troops it's allowed to station in the Sinai Peninsula, although Israel has previously approved Egypt breaching those numbers to fight an Islamic insurgency in the region. So Egypt is getting heavily pressured into getting involved. Hamas is a no-no word? That's stupid. Egypt army near Rafah. So WikiLeaks document is now confirmed. The document dated October 13 proposes 3 alternatives, including moving Gaza's civilian population to 10 cities in the northern Sinai, followed by the construction of permanent cities in an unspecified humanitarian corridor. A security zone will be established inside Israel to prevent the entry of displaced Palestinians. Even Canada, Digger, is mentioned as a possible place for the relocation of Palestinians, while the same document also mentions Greece, which together with Spain could welcome refugees. You heard it. At the same time, the document rejects 2 other options: restoring the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority as sovereign in Gaza or supporting a local regime. Among other regions, he rejects them as incapable of preventing attacks against Israel. According to France 24, Yoel, a senior fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies in Tel Aviv, said the document threatens to damage relations with a key partner. If the document is true, this is a serious mistake. It may cause a strategic rift between Israel and Egypt. I see it as either ignorance or someone who wants to negatively affect Israeli-Egyptian relations, which are very important at this stage. Egypt is a valuable partner that works behind the scenes with Israel. So we've confirmed that this is an accurate document from Israel. And Egypt saying, nah. I think it's telling that even the Egyptians, an Arab country, don't want the Palestinians in their country. England, send them to England. Bad Desert needs a new explosive adventures in his life. I agree. We could send them to England. I'd be okay with that. Anti-Israel access. Jordan recalls ambassador and expels Israeli ambassador. Turkey and Iran threaten severe consequences and generalization of war. I'm only reading the headline in this one because it's just going to continue to expand. They're going to bring other people in, and it's going to get messier and messier as we go. yeah, it's annoying, but what do you expect? What do you expect? So, also going with this as we transition yet again, here's a report that says Biden says he'll veto standalone funding for Israel. So Biden is going to veto funding to Israel if it's standalone because he wants to probably throw in some money for Ukraine, probably some money for I forgot Palestine, blah blah blah.
Efforts to pass a new funding bill for Israel took a turn when House Republican leaders tried to link it to other policy goals. Weijia Jiang is following all of this for us this morning. Weijia, how is the White House responding?
Good morning, Anne Marie, and good morning to everybody. For the first time, the White House is saying that President Biden would veto any standalone bill that only supports Israel, setting up a bitter fight with those House Republicans who are so far refusing it to support it in any other form. And as the war rages on abroad, the FBI director is now warning that the threat against the U.S. is at a, quote, whole other level.
It is a time to be concerned. We are in a dangerous period.
A dire warning from FBI Director Christopher Wray that the terror threat level against the U.S. has not been this high since the emergence of ISIS.
The gaps in our intelligence are real, and it's something that we have concerns about.
Wray also testified about the
rapid rise
that's what
happens when you pull out of the Middle East, you idiot.
Referencing a 20-year-old Jordanian man who was arrested in Houston just last week.
Who'd been studying how to build bombs and posted online about his support for killing Jews.
Okay. Tits, obviously, I just fucking covered that. You're like 30 seconds late. But yeah, what's up, buddy? CBS will strike me, so I don't want to go much further. But I thought this part was interesting where yeah, we'll get into this. We'll do like another minute, but I thought this part was interesting because of the article we started this segment with, that they're trying to destigmatize and integrate the anti-Islamophobia, and then they're saying there's an increase from Hamas of terrorist attacks. It almost seems like it's set up that way. Seems like it might be set up to drop our guard and then fuck us. No worries, no worries, tits and Reagans. I'm just messing with you, buddy. So we'll go a little bit further on the actual funding bill, and then we'll.
According to court documents, Soheb Abouyash, seen here at a firing range, has been in direct contact with others who share a radical mindset. And in Nevada, a suspect faces charges for making violent threats toward Democratic Senator Jackie Rosen, who is Jewish.
Oh, no.
Not in the face of an intensifying...
I bet she's a MAGA.
On Capitol Hill, protesters interrupted a hearing about President Biden's request for more than $100 billion in aid for Israel, Ukraine, border security, and Indo-Pacific nations like Taiwan, meant to keep China at bay.
What happens in Ukraine and what happens in Israel matters not to just Ukraine and Israel. It matters to us. It affects our national security as well.
Newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson has already introduced a bill that would only send assistance to Israel, leaving out Ukraine. It also includes cutting funding already earmarked for the IRS. Tuesday night, the White House warned that the bill is bad for Israel, for the Middle East region, and for our own national security. And if the president were presented with this bill, he would veto it.
It would be a huge mistake to separate this package.
And even Senate Republicans are siding with the administration.
For our adversaries, be they states or non-states, this is all one fight. And we have to respond in a way that recognizes that.
And it is important to remember that the president can't veto any bill unless...
Okay, so we're going to cut them off right there so they don't strike the hell out of me. Because I lost the article, but there's one more that I wanted to throw in before we move on to the next topic. I somehow lost the article. It's got to be somewhere around here, but good luck me finding it, right? Am I right? Oh, found it. I found it. I also support a Biden veto. There's an interesting. He did an very interesting interview. Fuck. I forgot all about that. Let me throw up a poll. Because that could be interesting. You know, I can't type and talk at the same time, so you're just going to have to bear with me for 5 seconds here. Wow. So I'm going to start a poll. Okay, so your options are Fauci lied again. That's very interesting. Or the Mike Johnson, Sean Hannity interview. I think that's going to be kind of mind blowing for a lot of people. So both of them are great. Both of them I will do a show on at some point. Just which one should we do after this last article about the war news shit? Both of them are pretty stunning actually. So, I'll let you guys decide, and we'll let that run for just a minute. And this interview with Hannity was post his election as speaker. If I had a vote, which I don't, I would probably lean towards the Sean Hannity thing because I think that's really interesting, and then I can put together a more widely adapted show on Fauci lying again. But the Hannity interview was awesome. Yeah, it certainly was. No pole dancing and isn't on the table. I'd hurt myself. Well, we can practice. So with that run, I'll do this last story and then we'll decide from there. So, right. Taiwan detects 43 Chinese warplanes around the island. 12:17 a.m. on November 1st. So fairly recent. More than 40 Chinese warplanes were detected around Taiwan in a day, the self-ruled island's defense ministry said on Wednesday. Beijing claims democratic Taiwan has its own territory to be seized one day by force if necessary, and has ratcheted up the military and diplomatic pressures on the island this year. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense said in a daily statement that 43 Chinese aircraft and 7 Navy vessels were detected around the island in a 24-hour period up to 6 a.m. on Wednesday. So this is kind of just the same rhetoric that we've heard. It says how far it is, all that good shit. But it seems like China's ramping up to take Taiwan, and why the hell wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they right now with everything else going on and all the tensions and all the different things flying around? Makes perfect sense. Probably pretty likely that China is going to move on Taiwan in the very, very near future. So. Damn it. Right. So 2 more votes and then we'll close the poll. Wait, who's changing their vote? Damn it. Okay. So we'll get to the Hannity Mike Johnson interview at a later time. I mean, hell, we could probably fuck, we'll see. We'll see where we're at. Isn't an option? What isn't an option? Oh. Your pole dancing fiasco. I mean, if you want to, go for it. People enjoy it. I'm sure. So, let's get into Anthony Faucisms. So, Fauci is under fire again. We'll remember that Fauci told Rand Paul that, you know, he was way off base and blah, 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 blah. And all that stuff, that he didn't know nothing and there was no gain of function and blah, 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 blah. Well, when these guys talk so damn much, sometimes they slip up. Can who change their vote? We'll probably end up doing both of them, but I don't know. We'll see. So, how he still stays out of prison? Well, he has the entire establishment backing him up. So, here is Anthony Fauci saying the quiet part out loud.
COVID-1 clearly originated in China, and we were fortunate to escape a major pandemic. So we really had to learn a lot more about the viruses that were there, about whether or not people were getting infected with bad viruses. So in a very minor collaboration, as part of a subcontract of a grant, we had a collaboration with some Chinese scientists. And what he conflated that is that therefore we were involved in creating the virus, which is the most ridiculous, majestic leap I've ever heard of. COVID-1 clearly originated in China, and we were fortunate to escape a major pandemic. So we really had
So COVID-1 originated in China. Sorry, I didn't get back to it in time. But, you know, so here's the recent thing that has broken. Revealed Anthony Fauci run lab in Montana experimented with coronavirus strain shipped from Wuhan a year before the COVID pandemic began. The NIH infected 12 bats with SARS-like COVID in 2018. The virus was shipped from Wuhan to an NIH lab in Montana. And now Fauci is warning he has nightmares about the next pandemic that he's probably creating, allegedly. U.S. taxpayer money was used to experiment with COVID from the Chinese lab thought to be a source of COVID pandemic more than a year before the global outbreak, an investigation has found. No, damn it. So, the National Institute of Health, under Dr. Fauci's leadership, infected 12 Egyptian fruit bats with SARS-like virus called WIV1 at a lab in Montana in 2018. The WIV1 coronavirus was shipped from the Wuhan lab and the FBI believes caused the COVID pandemic and was tested on bats acquired from Roadside, Maryland Zoo. The research revealed by the campaign group determined the novel virus could not cause a robust infection. But the research is more evidence of ties between the U.S. government and the Wuhan lab, as well as funding of dangerous virus research across the globe. And this is kind of where it broke out. So the wildlife preserve sent the 12 bats to the Montana lab. Camp David is about 7 miles from the zoo, so both in the Baltimore area. Rocky Mountain Laboratories experimented on bats with the virus, and the samples came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which is apparently where the whole thing broke out. here is where Chinese scientists have found several new concerning viruses. So these are the next ones that we have to worry about. So these are U.S. and this just blows my fucking mind that the United States is funding animal experiments in China. So we're sending money to China to fund viral research and animal experiments. So University of Southern California has spent $576,000 of a $1.9 million NIH grant at Peking University in Beijing. Also, the China Medical University has gotten nearly $1 million of $28.9 million in NIH grant from the University of South Florida. UC Irvine, a little more than $200,000 of a $4.3 million grant went to Wuhan to the Institute of Virology, and the Haizong Institute of Science and Technology from the Allen Institute, nearly $1 million of nearly $65 million worth in grants. The other side's a little bit harder because of all their links, but as you can see, there are several on that side of the ledger: Shanghai, Harbin. So we're talking about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 or $5 million worth of research coming from U.S. universities and U.S. NIH grants. The paper, SARS-like coronavirus WIV1 CoV does not replicate in Egyptian fruit bats, was published in the Journal of Viruses in 2018. The study was first flagged by Drastic, a group of internet activists who investigated the origins of COVID-19 and the lab leak theory. The group White Coat Waste Project is now using Freedom of Information Act to request more details about the experiment. The White Coat Waste Project is a watchdog that's been fighting to stop sending American tax dollars overseas to fund dangerous virus research. 2018 experiment was carried out by the NIH's Rocky Mountain Laboratories in Montana, which is overseen by Fauci, the former director of the National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. The research was a joint venture between NIH's Rocky Mountain Laboratories and Wuhan Institute of Virology. The lab leak theory is real. Or could it be that it maybe was intentional? Maybe it was an intentional leak. Maybe it wasn't a lab leak at all, allegedly. It's pretty fucked up that we're sending these people all this money, though. And the reason that you're probably sending it over there is because you probably can't do that shit here. Whatever it was. It's both frustrating and I don't know how much I can actually say over here. And realistically, I probably already said too much, but we're going to keep going. Fuck it, right? You guys will follow me over to the room place if we need it. Yeah, I really don't care because this shit needs to stop. And if there's no accountability, then all of our lovely politicians are going to keep doing it because they're going to keep getting away with it. So eventually we have to hold these bastards accountable in some way, shape, or form. So we should start doing that right now. Probably a good idea. So here's my thought. Again, why in the hell are we sending all this research money overseas to less than ideal conditions in less than ideal labs that we know have a significant amount of potential to be able to do harm and cause harm and have a leak of a global deadly pandemic on the United States? And again, it seems like they are hell-bent on potentially making this shit happen yet again. which is kind of terrifying if you ask me. Because it seems like they're real interested in making this shit happen yet again. So, the former director of National Institutes on Allergy and Infectious Disease, the research was joint venture, read that. Scientists obtained 12 Egyptian fruit bats from Maryland Zoo and inoculated them with the WIV1, which was first detected in a Chinese ruthless horseshoe bats. They performed exams on the animals and daily measured things like body weight and temperature. Scientists also took samples from the bats' noses and throats. On days 3, 7, and 28, 4 of the bats were euthanized, and their heart, liver, spleen, bladder, reproductive organs, eyes, brain were collected for analysis. Scientists also analyzed white blood cell count and the antibodies. Research determined that COOF did not cause a robust infection and very limited evidence of virus replication. The bats have been sent from a roadside Maryland zoo to the Montana facility, allegedly by the zoo's curator and director of animal health, who had previously worked at the in-house animal testing labs at the NIH from 2003 to 2012. The WCW said, located in Thurmont, Maryland, less than 15 minutes from Camp David. The Catoctin Wildlife Preserve has a history of animal welfare violations and was fined $12,000 in 2012 for poor and dangerous animal housing and inadequate animal care. Records show preserve confined 523 federally regulated animals as of April 2023, including 241 bats, of which 41 were Egyptian fruit bats. So there's the pictures. We knew what happened there. Allegedly, we know what happened there. Kind of. We knew what happened there. Let's see. Shit. There we go. We're already up there. He absolutely did. Gross. You cannot tell the truth at all. It's kind of the same thing. Mm-hmm. So many. That's exactly right. Yep, some more of our money going to bullshit. I'm starting to think maybe, Jacob. I'm starting to, not the people, not us, not me and you, not the good people of this fine nation, but these assholes. I'm more and more convinced as the days go on that maybe that's accurate. You can't be that ridiculous and that terrible and maybe not be. So I'm starting to think that maybe, just maybe, we could possibly be the baddies. And it pains me to say that because I still think we're the greatest country on the face of the earth, but we've done some shady, fucked up shit as of late, and no one seems to be having to pay for it, even in the slightest. And that is beyond irritating. Beyond irritating. America does the research till it's legal for you, then send to the Canucks, take the experiments further, because our laws aren't that strict. Yeah, and we send it off to even countries that have worse records, like China. Shit, are we? Damn, nobody told me that. We hired Chinese spies to work in our lab who then steal samples and take them to China. Yep. I did 2 Ds. You're not getting a third tonight. Just not happening, brother. I heard Bobby print sticks. They could be makeshift pitchforks. Just get like a regular fork and then see, now we're learning how to make shivs. Sometimes you have to cut corners and be industrious. So no, I didn't. I don't have Twitter up right now, but I'll check. Yeah. Looking that way. And I don't know. I don't know what there is to do or what we can do to change this, but it's getting kind of ridiculous at this point. We're being taken advantage from every conceivable angle. And these people don't give a shit about us. Not at all. Not even remotely. And it's really starting to get kind of annoying. So hopefully we can make some kind of impact and make this better moving forward. But I'm even losing faith in that at this point. Truly am. Truly am. And I always like to have some kind of positive thought or something to rah-rah the troops, but that seems to be getting harder and harder to do as we move further and further down this track. When your nation and your country and your quote-unquote leaders keep doing stupid shit like this left, right, and at every turn, you start wondering, if there is anything that we can do to escape this. Not just ineptitude, it's to the point of criminality. It's to the point of sorry, I'm trying to choose my words carefully. It's to the point of seemingly honestly trying to destroy this country. And that's more and more what it seems like every time we look into another fucking story of them trying to screw us and trying to do stupid shit like this. It just seems like it's ineptitude only goes so far. At some point, it really does seem like it's intentional. But I digress. Oh, look. Hell yeah. Go to your local Walmart. Hail micro media. Did you just say I have a micro penis? Because I resent that. I wish I could. Anybody can sit up here and bitch about things. Anybody can sit up here and say it's bad and we should all run into a hole. At some point, I thought it was helpful to not just sit up here and talk about how wrong everything was, but some kind of reasonable and foreseeable solution to everything being so wrong and bad. But every topic that we go down further down this road, it gets harder and harder to be able to remove yourself from it, because And again, when I like to be very evidence-based, and although I knew this was going on, we didn't have an unreal amount of evidence at the time. Like, we did, and we were sure, but now we're seeing it black and white. It's in, I wouldn't call it Daily Mail mainstream media, but it's in a relevant enough media where you can say it without being called a conspiracy terrorist, I think. Fuck, I don't know the rules anymore. But it seems like it's reasonable to say it, and that's what bothers me. So they're doing that too. So, that's my problem. I need some hopium. No, I didn't say opium. I said hopium. And it's not easy to be found anymore. So anyways, a visitor left a review last month. How's this place even legal? I left heartbroken and sad. The enclosures are so small and not well kept. This place is so unkept. It's awful. It needs to be shut down. You can see the pain in these animals' eyes. Something has to be done about this place. This is not a preserve. It's a place where animals are sent to suffer and be on display for humans. Disgusting. Well, that's normally. Sorry, I wanted to see how much longer this was. Despite the lack of transmission in bats in 2018, similar dangerous research on viruses that could spark yet another pandemic have been ongoing across the globe for years. And I think that's why there's such a heavy hint from Fauci and company that, oh, I'm so worried about the next one. Because the next one probably they're fucking working on in a lab somewhere. And eventually it's gonna be here. So that's also my concern, because it seems like they're also very, very well aware of what the next one's going to be. We've heard Gates talk about it. We've heard, this pandemic treaty that's currently being drafted. We've heard 2025 several times. That's my concern. And while there's debate over whether the pandemic began because of a virus jump from animals to humans or it was leaked from a lab in China, the lab leak theory is what FBI and other government agencies now subscribe to. Most recently, Daily Mail revealed that last week Chinese virus hunters have been tinkering with novel pathogens that have a high probability of infecting humans, despite the concerns similar outbreaks or similar experiments that led to the COVID outbreak. Daily Mail also reported in August that millions of U.S. taxpayer dollars are being sent to shady laboratories in China to fund cruel and dangerous experiments on animals. Despite the shipment of funds across the world, America actually performs the most gain-of-function virus research. Gain-of-function experiments involve making pathogens more infectious and deadly. Advocates say tests help science get ahead of future outbreaks, but critics say the risk of leak outweigh any potential benefits. Those fears prompted U.S. officials to quietly shut down taxpayer-funded $125 million project last month that hunted for new viruses. The program Deep VZN, pronounced Deep Vision, was launched October 2021 with the aim of finding and studying new pathogens in wildlife in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. While research was meant to prevent human outbreaks and pandemics, critics, including Biden administration officials, were afraid it would do the opposite and voiced their fears about the potentially catastrophic risks of virus hunting. In a statement for president and founder of WCW, Anthony Bellatoli said, "Our investigation has uncovered the real-life horror story of how shady roadside zoo, whose curator was an NIH animal experimenter, shipped off bats to a deadly government virus lab overseen by Dr. Fauci to be infected with a coronavirus obtained directly from the Wuhan lab that experts believe caused COVID-19. Fucking black and white. There's no back and forth. There's no denial anymore. It's just and to think we were left, right, and center canceled. We were shit on. People were run off YouTube. People were run out of public squares all over this country for saying just what in that article. For being first, you're wrong. For being first, you're wrong. And it's tough. It's tough. All right. Let's get some more clown pills. You got any extra? I want to try DMT. Is that a clown pill? Can we make it one? This could be creating bobbies in their labs. Oh god, that would be so hot. Yes, please. I'll take 2. Those who don't know, Bobby is a beautiful, beautiful man. I saw him on stream the other day. Hockey sticks are great weapons. They are in panic mode, but they're also resilient. And a cornered animal is often the most dangerous. So that's a concern as well. For a Black Pill story, there's a fat girl song. Gross. Thank you, but gross. Life is so much more fun when you stop giving a shit. I know, but you're sexy, so you cannot give a shit. I'm just meat. I appreciate it because it drives me nuts. All right, so I just for the sake of history, we're gonna play. This is not the gain of function one that I was looking for. Well, let's start with this one and then we'll play the gain of function because this is about royalties and Fauci making money on it.
Dr. Fauci, the government recommends everybody take a booster over age 5. Are you aware of any studies that show reduction in hospitalization or death for children who take a booster?
Right now, there's not enough data that has been accumulated, Senator Paul, to indicate that that's the case. I believe that the recommendation that was made was based on the assumption that if you look at the morbidity and mortality of children within each of the age groups, 0 to 5, 5 to 11.
Right. So there are no studies, and Americans should all know this. There are no studies on children showing a reduction in hospitalization or death with taking a booster. The only studies that were permitted, the only studies that were presented were antibody studies. So they say if we give you a booster, you make antibodies. Now, a lot of scientists would question whether or not that's proof of efficacy of a vaccine. If I give you 10, or if I give a patient 10 mRNA vaccines and they make protein each time, or they make antibody each time, is that proof that we should give 10 boosters, Dr. Fauci?
No, I think that is somewhat of an absurd exaggeration.
Well, that is the proof that you use. Your committees use that. That's the only proof you have to tell children to take a booster is that they make antibodies. So it's not an absurdity. You're already at like 5 boosters for people. You've had, 2 or 3 boosters. It's like, where is the proof? Now, I think there is probably some indication for older folks that have some risk factors. For younger folks, there's not. But here's the other thing. There are some risk factors for the vaccine. So the risk of myocarditis with a second dose for adolescent boys 12 to 24 is about 80 in a million. This is both from the CDC and from the Israeli study. It's also in the VAERS study, remarkably similar for boys, much higher from boys than girls and much higher than the background. The background's about 2 per million. So there is risk and there are risks. And you're telling everybody in America, just blindly go out there because we made antibodies. So it is not an absurd corollary to say if you have 10. In fact, you probably make antibodies if you get 100 boosters. All right? That's not science. That's conjecture, and we should not be making public policy on it.
So, Senator Paul, if I might respond to that, we just heard in his opening statement, Ranking Member Burr talk about his staff who went to Israel. And if you look at the data from Israel, the boosts, both the third shot boost and the fourth shot boost, was associated with a clear-cut clinical effect, mostly in elderly people, but also as they gathered more data, even in people in the 40s and the 50s. So there is clinical data.
But not in children.
Well,
see,
again,
here's the thing is you're not willing to be honest with the American people. So, for example, 75% of kids have had the disease. Why is the CDC not including this in the data? You can ask the question. You can do laboratory tests to find out who's had it and who hasn't had the disease. What is the incidence of hospitalization and death for children who've been infected with COVID, subsequently going to the hospital or dying? What is the possibility if your kid has had COVID, which is 75% of the country's had COVID, what is the chance that my child's going to the hospital or dying?
if you look at the number of deaths in pediatrics, Senator, you can see that there are more deaths
Of
in
people who have had it,
pediatrics-
of people who have had the
pediatric-
disease.
Senator, we also know from other studies that the optimal degree of protection when you get infection is to get vaccinated after infection. And in fact, showing reinfection in the era of Omicron and the sublineages, that vaccination.
But you can't
follows-
answer the question I asked. The question I ask is how many kids are dying and how many kids are going to the hospital who've already had COVID? The answer may be zero, but you're not even giving us the data because you have so much wanted to protect everybody from all the data because we're not smart enough to look at the data. When you released data earlier, when the CDC released the data, they left out the category of 18 to 49 on whether or not there was a health benefit for adults 18 to 49. Why was it left out? When critics finally complained, it was finally included because there was no health benefit from taking a booster between the 18 to 49 and the CDC study. Another question for you. The NIH continues to refuse to voluntarily divulge the names of scientists who receive royalties and from which companies. Over the period of time from 2010 to 2016, 27,000 royalty payments were paid to 1,800 NIH employees. We know that not because you told us, but because we forced you to tell us through the Freedom of Information Act. Over $193 million was given to these 1,800 employees. Can you tell me that you have not received a royalty from any entity that you ever oversaw the distribution of money in research grants?
Well, first of all, let's talk about royalties.
That's the question. No, that's the question. Have you
Oh,
ever
no,
overseen, have you
Senator,
ever received a royalty payment from a company that you later oversaw money going to that company?
You know, I don't know as a fact, but I doubt it.
Well, here's the thing is, why don't you let us know? Why don't you reveal how much you've gotten and from what entities? The NIH refuses. Look, we ask them. The NIH, we ask them whether or not who got it and how much. They refuse to tell us. They sent it redacted. Here's what I want to know. It's not just about you. Everybody on the vaccine committee, have any of them ever received money from the people who make vaccines? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me if anybody on the vaccine approval committees ever received any money from people who make the vaccines?
Soundbite number one, are you going to let me answer a question? Okay, so let me give you some information. First of all, according to the regulations, people who receive royalties are not required to divulge them even on their financial statement, according to the Bayh-Dole Act. So let me give you some examples. From 2015 to 2020, the only royalties I have was my lab and I made a monoclonal antibody for use in vitro reagent that had nothing to do with patients. And during that period of time, my royalties ranged from $21 a year to $700 a year. And the average per year was $191.46.
It's all
Get that
it's all redacted, and you can't get any information on the
Senator
1800
Paul,
scientists.
your time is
So we
long.
want to know whether
Senator
or not
Paul.
people got money from the people who made the manufacturer.
Senator Paul, your time is long over expired. I gave you an additional 2.5 minutes. The witness has responded. We are going to move on. Senator Sanders.
Of course. And all he cares about is making the money. He claims he only made $7. Bull fucking shit. He made more than that. He made more than that. And they're just so ridiculous and so insincere. With what they're saying. I think this is the other one. And then we'll wrap it up for this evening. But I believe this is the other one.
Dr. Fauci, knowing that it is a crime to lie to Congress, do you wish to retract your statement of May 11th where you claimed that the NIH never funded gain-of-function research in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement. This paper that you are referring to was judged by qualified staff up and down the chain as not being gain of function. Let me finish.
You take an animal virus and you increase its transmissibility to humans.
Right.
You're saying that's not gain of function?
Yeah, that is correct. And Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about, quite frankly. And I want to say that officially. You do not know what you are talking about. Okay, you get one person.
Let's read from the NIH definition of gain of function. This is your definition that you guys wrote. It says that scientific research that increases the transmissibility among mammals is gain of function. They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not.
It's a dance, and you're dancing around this because you're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
And let's let Dr. Fauci.
I have to, well, now you're getting into something. If the point that you are making is that the grant that was funded as a sub-award from EcoHealth to Wuhan created SARS-CoV-2, that's where you are getting. Let me finish.
We don't know.
Well, wait a minute.
If it did come from the lab, but all the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
I totally
This committee will allow the witness to respond.
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating, Senator, because if you look at the viruses that were used in the experiments, that were given in the annual reports, that were published in the literature, it is molecularly impossible.
No one's saying those viruses caused it.
It
No
is
one alleging that
molecularly.
those viruses caused the pandemic. What we're alleging is that gain of function research was going on in that lab and NIH funded it.
That
You
is
can't
not.
get away from it. It meets your definition, and you are obfuscating the truth.
I'm not obfuscating the truth.
Senator
You are the
Paul's
one.
time is expired, but I will allow the witness to.
Let me just finish. I want everyone to understand that if you look at those viruses, and that's judged by qualified virologists and evolutionary biologists, those viruses are molecularly impossible
No one's
to
saying
result
they are. No
in
one's saying those viruses
SARS-CoV-2.
caused the pandemic.
Senator Paul,
We're saying they are gain of function viruses because they were
They're not.
animal viruses that became more transmissible in human, and you funded it.
And
Don't
you
admit the truth.
and you
Senator
implying
Paul, your time has expired, and I will allow witnesses who come before this committee to respond.
and you are implying that what we did was responsible for the deaths of individual. I totally resent
could
that.
have
And
been.
if anybody
could
is
have been.
lying here, Senator, it is you.
Hey, NBC
So-
News viewers,
No,
thanks
stop,
for checking.
All right. So obviously we know Fauci is an absolute dirtbag, and obviously we don't trust anything he's saying. But I guess, will he ever be punished for his bullshit? Like, now we know for a fact that he was lying. We know that that is completely inaccurate at this point. He 100%, Anthony Fauci,
lied. And Anthony Fauci lied to Congress. And there will be no accountability for his actions. He'll skate free. He'll continue his retirement. He'll never be held accountable. And people died because of it. And I think that's bullshit. I truly think that that is pure bullshit. I don't know. I don't know how he can get away with it or how he can expect to get away with it, but he did for all intents and purposes, and looks like he's going to. And now we know for a fact that he did indeed unequivocally provide funding and provide other things for what happened. And it's just bullshit. It's nothing less than bullshit. But that was a frustrating end to the show because that guy just pisses me off. He never should have been in a position of power. And you see how he handles himself in Congress, and it's our Congress has gotten so cucked out that it really doesn't matter anymore because they're going to do whatever the hell they want because who the hell cares? Like, there's no accountability. It's not like he's going to get fined or held in contempt or jailed for anything that he's saying. He just gets to say whatever the hell he wants, and we have to be okay with it. But then on top of it, you see how he thinks he owns the place and he thinks he runs the place. And he can get away with impunity until we can fix that problem, until we can truly push through with that problem. We're never going to fix any of this. It's just going to be a perpetual people fucking people over to get rich, get paid, make that government salary, and move on. And that's exactly what he did. He skated with our tax money. He skated with the lives of our loved ones. And frankly, he's probably killed more people than the other bad guys that they talk about all the time. For being honest. So I know. Dogs don't need carry permits. We're already evaluating that. He absolutely should. He should be arrested. He should be in prison forever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he's playing the word games the entire time. The whole thing has been the word games. The entire thing has been him just dancing around it. So already? Shit. He is arrogant. He's arrogant because he knows that he's never going to be held accountable. He's untouchable. Just say whatever the hell he wants and everybody has to deal with it. That's not how witnesses behave in Congress. You're not an elected representative. The time belongs to the congressman, and he shouldn't have any say in any of it. But he gets to act with impunity because he's Anthony Fauci. So, all right, boys and girls, I think that's going to be it for me. Oh, what Kitty called me? No, I was just playing. You sent me something. You said, I think. Fuck. Come on, X. Where did you send it to me? Because I don't see it there either. Oh, there. Tic Tac Bobby. That's funny. Hang on. Let me. But you had to move man bun down to be Tic Tac Bobby. Hang on, I'll pull it up. So I take the night off, and this is what happens in my absence. I don't condone this. But we played Tic Tac Bobby, apparently. So that's the beautiful Bobby. Right there. There's also Bobby. And there's a Bobby. Kaiser, Red, Glowy, Digger, Shanny. I'm glad my name isn't on there, though. Because that would be bad. I know. It's important that we can start turning things. It can just be frustrating at times, and then you regroup, and then you come back to it, and you come hard, right? These come real hard. Oh my God. I'm only doing 2 of them. Oh, good. There was only 3, so I can. Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, lethal injection 5. Lockdown is the only way to keep you safe. Really? All right. So, I think that's probably... Oh, shit. I had a song. Let me see if I can find that in a reasonable amount of time, because God knows where the hell it went. It's not that one. No, not that one. No, that one's funny, but shit. If I can't find it, I'll just skip it, but let's just open them all. It's got to be one of these. See, I always dump shit, but then I don't remember where the hell it's at. There we go. Here, so I'll play everybody out on this lovely, lovely masterpiece of a song. We don't agree with the message, but I mean, we do, but for the sake of YouTube. Good night, everybody. Hold your head up. We'll win this one. We're the stronger side. It sucks on the interim, but we'll get there. We'll take care of it. We always do. We always persevere. Heads up. But I'll play you out on this. Good night, everybody.
Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. We got dead people voting, drop boxes and Dominion. And facts are facts, it's not just my opinion. The Democrats know how to steal. Come on, man, here's the deal. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. While Biden's hiding in the basement, babbling away on Zoom.
My mental fitness, what he's doing now.
Patriots fill stadiums, not circles in an empty room. Twitter and the FBI, one day won't deny. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. The thing about truth, time is always gonna tell.
Votes in Fulton County were counted more than once.
I bet he took New York and carried California as well. He's done it twice before, and he's gonna win again for the third time in 2024. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. Fox News won't even show it. It's true. Trump won and you know it.